Okay, we're here in the home of Art Larson. What's the address here, Art?
7 South Broad Street.
Huh?
7 South Broad Street.
7 South Broad Street, August 9th, 2001.
Yeah.
And to hear...
My first name is Carl.
Carl, that's right.
Middle name is Art. Carl A.
So who started calling you Art first then?
Well, I always went to school. They called me Art.
So you never went by Carl?
I didn't know I had another name until Uncle Sam told me.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always known you as Art, so
Yeah.
you look in the phone book, it's a good thing they have your middle name in there.
Yeah.
Well, Art, tell me where you were born and raised.
Well, I was born in Hertfordshire, Bark Point.
Whereabouts on Bark Point?
Well, that's just before you get to Bark Point. You know, ever been over there?
Yeah.
That white area, when you turn across the Back Bay Slough and go out to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Just a quarter-mile west from that Y.
Quarter mile west from the Y.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where your folks have a farm there, or?
Yeah. Wasn't much of a farm, but so we moved to Cornucopia. First he was going to move to Orienta. Dad didn't.
Uh-huh.
And he changed his mind, came to Cornucopia.
And why did he come up to, why was he in that area to start with? Where did he come from?
Well, he was born in Sweden.
Uh-huh. Art, could you put the paper down when you're not, yeah, just gets in the way.
He was born in 1860.
In Sweden?
Yeah.
So are you 100% Swede?
No, my mother was from Finland.
Oh, she was?
Yeah.
And when did she come over? Was she born here?
Well, around 1900, a little before.
So she was,
so
she was born in Finland?
My oldest brother was her first son. He was born in 1900s, but he was born in Finland.
Right.
Yeah. So it must have been 1900 when she came here.
And your dad?
Well, he came, geez, got stories in too, but um, 1960, about 1978 or somewhere in there.
Huh?
I think it was 1978 or somewhere.
1878?
I mean 1878, yeah.
And did he come right from Sweden to this part of the country?
No, he worked in Illinois. He worked there on a farm for $18 a month. He wrote to his brother, he says, "Don't ever go farming," he says, "look for a rich widow."
What, meaning what?
Well, don't go farming because $18 a month ago.
Yeah.
Look for a rich widow.
Oh, look for a rich widow, I see. And then when did he come up here?
Well, he came, well, I was in sometime in 1800, yet. Because probably around 1870, because my mother was born in 1875.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they got married around 1900, I guess.
And was his first, did he come up here and get a job in fishing or anything?
He worked in stone quarries over in Port Wing.
Oh, he did? Uh-huh.
Yeah. And
well, did he have any friends or relatives up here that told him about this place, or how did he get up here?
well, his brother came up here too. He was here too. But he changed his name from Larson to Marine. Louis Marine.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How come?
There was too many Larsons in Chicago. Yeah.
What was your dad's name?
John.
John Larson.
Yeah.
And your mother?
Sophia Copy.
How do you spell that?
K-U-C.
It's a Finnish name.
Yeah.
Copy.
Yeah, I think there's two U's. P-I.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Something like that.
Yeah. And then you were born in what year?
1913.
So that makes you how old now?
88.
And heading for 100, huh?
I don't know.
And were you born up there in Herbster?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. On that home place?
Yeah. On Bark Point.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when did you go to Corny then?
1916. I was 3 years old.
And so you started school in Corny?
Yeah. The school was built in 1916.
Oh, it was?
The Corny School. Yeah.
But that was just a grade school, wasn't it?
No, they had high school there.
They did have high school?
Yeah. I never went to high school. I started and I quit.
You did?
I was sick for the first 6 weeks, and I asked the principal to help me, catch up to the rest of them. He wouldn't do it, so I said, okay, that's it.
Well, what'd you do then once you quit?
Well, I went to
You
work.
went to work, right?
Yeah.
Where?
All over. Well, like here, I was, I worked on a family farm in Corny I worked for a fisherman off and on for years.
Now, where did you work out of? Out of the Corny harbor?
Yeah, but I worked out of many different harbors.
No, you're talking a commercial fisherman.
Yeah, I worked out of Port Wing too for a few years.
Who did you work for?
Johnson Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked up in Duluth one year, here in Christian. That was the year I worked on a ferry from Grand Marais to Oil. I was on there 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the fellow that was fishing out there, he knew we were from Cornucopia, and he knew we were fishing. Used to fishing, so.
What'd you say?
He knew we was from Cornucopia and Corny fishermen. In fact, there was about 17 boats fishing out of there.
And this
So he
would
says,
have...
how about you come and fish for me in Duluth?
Who was that?
Me and another fellow from Cornucopia, Mike Swift. So I said, okay. So we fished herring up in Duluth that fall. After everybody had left Oil,
Right. So you spent a lot of time on the water.
most of my life.
Yeah.
That's when
All right, so you were fishing out of Corny and Duluth and Isle Royal and
yeah, and I'm over here too.
over here
Since
too?
I've been here.
Did you fish out of Bayfield here?
Yeah, I fished out Madeline Island
And
2 years.
and who did you work with then?
Bud Bodine.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Off of his place.
Fishing over in Michigan waters.
Now, what years would that have been when you were fishing
I
off?
was in 60s, 66, 65, 66.
So that was the time when it was just before the fishing hit hard times then.
Well, I was already closed part-time, because they had to have a permit to fish for a trout. So it was just before. Well, I'll tell you, 1955 was the last good fishing.
It was.
Yeah.
And when you were fishing in at that time, what fish were you after?
Well, they're fishing for chubs and trout too, whitefish and trout.
Herring.
Well, he didn't fish herring. He just fished chubs. But I worked for Bodines too.
Uh-huh.
So not Bodine, but Morris Bataan.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we had 16 ton in one lift.
16 ton of what?
Herring.
Of herring? Oh my God.
Because he says, take a look out the gangway and see if there's any rail left. Or how much rail we got left. And it was 2 nights I never got to bed at all. We picked herring till 2 o'clock in the morning and went home and ate something, cleaned up and went right back out. Because it was a 5-hour run from here to Little Girls Point.
Uh-huh.
Michigan waters. And the game wardens out there, you find them for fishing in Michigan waters.
You did?
How are you going to tell where the boundary is? And the game warden says, well, now you can see where the fish are in the Michigan waters.
So what was the name of Morris's boat at that time?
Morby.
Huh?
Morby.
And Bud's was the William G, right?
Yeah, William G. Yeah.
Now, did you ever have your own boat, Art?
Well, I had a small boat, a 19-foot. I fished herring out of Herbster, float nets, being on the guy. We had a ton of fish in that boat. It was an open boat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I come in, we were going to beach it. I had to come in backwards so with a flooded, you know, which waves would come right over. So when we tried to pull it up on the beach, we couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Too heavy by the ton of fish in there. Pushed it back out and went up the Cranberry River, horsed it up there, one on each side, hip boots on, and horsed it up the damn guns covered.
And then when you were fishing up there, where did you take your fish?
Took it to Coney.
Who was operating that wholesale thing up at Coney?
Well, Ellers was taking care of all the selling, you know.
Ellers?
Yeah. Herman Ellers or his son, Belton.
And where was that that fish house?
That's in a big building down in Coney there. Jones shed.
Is that still standing?
Yeah, they built a doggone top on there with balconies and everything. It's still the same building, but they remodeled the top of it.
Uh-huh.
And the other big building was Eller's shed. Jones's shed and Eller's shed.
Mm-hmm.
One on each side of the river.
Did Herbster also have or did Port Wing rather have a?
Port Wing, I fished out of there too. But the Johnsons, they come from Lake Michigan, you know, and they come up here to fish. I worked for them for a few years. And, that was well, the first boat they brought up here on the trailer, I fished on that. There was a Queen Mary.
The what?
The Queen Mary. A little boat, you know. I fished with Everett Johnson on there.
When would that have been?
Well, that was in the 50s, I guess. And,
So how many years did you end up fishing, did you figure?
well, I started when I was about 16 years old, so working in fish, salting fish and dressing fish. Then I went on the boats fishing.
And then you also went on the boats in the war, right? You were in the Navy, you said.
Yeah, I was in 1 year,
What year did you go into the service?
45.
Just at the end.
Yeah.
And what was the ship you were on?
USS Kate's destroyer escort. That's the one I put a picture of there.
Right.
And well, I was on there just that 1 year. I got on to Manila, Philippines. And we went to, from there we went on to Panama, up to the Panama Canal, and up to Yorktown.
Mm-hmm.
Unloaded depth charges up there. So then we come back, went up to Norfolk Navy shipyard there. Had the ship sandblasted and went to the dry dock. Then we went down to St. John River in Green Cove Springs, Florida, down in the middle of the St. John River.
Mm-hmm.
A whole fleet of DEs down there. This is where I sat the last 3 months. And I was.
By that time the war was over then?
Out there. It was in, how was it? June, I think, in 46.
That's when you got out?
Yeah,
Yeah. And came back here then?
yeah.
Came back here to where? To Bayfield or to
No,
Herbster?
Come back to Corcoquia.
Now in 46, your folks were still alive then?
Dad died in 1926.
Oh, he did?
Mother died in 1975.
Well, how come your dad died so young? What happened?
Well, he was born in 1860.
So he wasn't that young, actually. He was 66 then.
No, he was only 63, or 65.
What did he die of?
Well, I don't know for sure if it was cancer or what, because two of my brothers have died from cancer. Lung.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them just died here a year ago. He had cancer too, and he died at a nursing home in Washington here.
And how many kids in the family?
Well, there was 9 boys, but one was a half brother, so he was my mother's first son. So she had 2 sons, but one died in infancy.
Before she married your dad?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And 9 boys and how many girls?
One girl.
One girl.
Yeah.
Was, and where do you fit in?
Well, I'm 4 of them younger than me.
So you're right in the middle.
Yeah.
And who's alive?
Almost a bit.
Who's alive now?
Just me and Billy Elvin. He lives in Marengo.
Is he's younger than you then?
2 years.
2 years younger. And how old did your mother live to be?
I think she was, let's see, she was born in 1875, and she died in 1963.
So she lived to be almost in her 90s, close to
no,
it.
not 90, but 80 some, 80s. Let's see, what the heck.
So you take after her.
Well, my sister was pretty old too. She was born in 1905 and she died in 1993.
So she was just about 90.
Close to 90, yeah.
Yeah. Now, when you came back from the service, who did you go back into fishing then? 46.
Yeah, but I had many different jobs, you know.
Well, tell me about the jobs. Tell me about the jobs you had.
Okay, well,
All right.
Let's start from here. Worked in the farm in Corny.
Yeah.
And I was a fisherman, off and on for years. Also worked for 50 cents a day for a neighbor for 1 year, driving horses and spraying apple trees.
Where was that? In Herbster? In Corny, rather?
Yeah. Neighbor for horses.
So what were you doing with the horses?
Spraying spraying trees. Got a sprayer and we drove right down the Circuit River and filled the tank and then drive out to the orchard.
How old were you then, would you say?
Well, I was right out of school, but...
You were a young man still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right after I got out of school.
Right.
He says, take it or leave it, 50 cents a day.
Well, 50 cents a day, I mean...
Well, there's guys around here who work 50 cents a day too.
Yeah.
Sure. Wayne Barningham, he worked for Carl Witchendall. Not Carl, but his dad. 50 cents a day.
Yeah.
Putting up hay. Yeah. And let's see. Worked in logging camps, both in Wisconsin and Michigan.
What kind of camps?
Board.
What kind of camps?
Logging camps.
Logging camps.
Yeah.
And then what did you do? What was your job there?
That winter, first winter, that was down between Cable and Hayward. They just had us clearing the roads, you know, windfalls and stuff. And that was $1 a day. So, and it was 35 below for 3 weeks straight.
It was.
1936. The coldest winter and the hottest summer. Just a summer like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
So you stayed out there in the logging camp then?
Yeah. Well, I worked there for a few months, and then we went to Michigan. From there, worked up there for about the same thing. Waters Meat, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and in 1937, 38, 39, worked out in North Dakota in the harvest field for a month each year. You know.
Whereabouts in North Dakota?
Well, Bisbee and Candu, Garski.
Up by the Montana border there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was up there close to the border.
I'm from North Dakota, so I know that territory.
Candu was a meeting place. There was 13 fellows from Cornucopia and Washburn. We all got together on Saturday night. Raise hell. Cop chases out of town one day. There was 5 guys in a Model A, and he said, "Get out of town. We got 3 more guys coming. You got enough in there now. Get out of here." So we just went around a few blocks and come back in town again. But that was the only place you could get a good drink of water. In Canada, right on the street, they had a fountain.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then, well, let's see, well, then I was in the Navy from 45 to 46. Then I worked on the ore carriers for some years, from 1945 to 1952.
And out of
Oh,
Duluth?
well, I got on an accident one time.
You did?
First one was I went down to Milwaukee, Jones Island.
And what was your job on the ore boats?
Well, I was Dick Hand and Dick Watch. Mm-hmm. Ordinary Dick Watch. There was a difference between Dick Watch and ordinary Dick Watch.
What was the difference? Pay?
Well, you work 4 hours and 8 off, see. Otherwise you work 8 hours straight if you was just a Dick Hander.
Mm-hmm.
My brother was on there too the same year, and he was a watchman. And the captain says, "It don't seem right to the younger brothers got to say so over the older one, you know." Because he, in fact, one time we was coming across Lake Erie at night, you know, it was getting dark, and the moon would be over on this side, then it'd be over on that side, and that side. He said, "Something's wrong up there. I gotta go find out." He went up there and never come back. I had to stay there by myself, put hatch covers on. He had to stay up there when both guys were drunk.
Jeez.
The mate and the wheelsman, both of them were drunk.
Oh my God.
So,
Did you have any close calls out there on the lake? On the ore boats?
no, well,
Weather or storms?
yeah,
or-
well, I think it was the last time I went on. Me and another fellow had come up with a load of coal. We followed the North Shore all the way up. And we all iced down. I had to kick the door open and get out of the room, you know. We got to Duluth, and they had to thaw the hatches out. It took 2 hours to thaw the hatches out. So it was all ice, you know. And he says to me, he was younger than me, you know, he says, "What do you say if we pile off?" He says, "I got an itchy trigger finger. Gotta go hunting." And we told the captain, you know, and he said, "You got it." We told him we've got to go herring fishing. They don't need you for herring fishing. You better stay. No, we gotta go.
So you jumped ship?
That was the last time we did one of us went back.
Yeah.
And then he died up here, up on top of the hill up here. Got asphyxiated in the car.
He did?
Yeah. Him and his girlfriend.
No kidding.
Yeah, just over the top of the hill up here.
And what was his name?
Cassira, Archie Cassira.
Hmm.
His younger brother lives out in Cornucopia here now.
Hmm.
Anyway, last time I was sailing anyway. Oh, I was on 4 different boats, I guess.
4 different boats that you were.
Boats, yeah.
You remember their names?
Yeah, the Baker was the first one. It was a Pittsburgh steamship company. And Reese was Reese. They had coal docks, Ashland all over Green Bay. And Arcturus was an inland steel steamship company. And Charles Wilson. Charles Wilson, I guess that was
So that was the last one.
yeah, I think so.
Right. Well, what other jobs you do? You,
Well,
you're a jack of all trades here,
yeah, I
Art.
know. Well, let's see. Well, I worked on a ferry boat up in Grand Marais, hauled passengers and freight from Grand Marais, Isle Royale.
Mm-hmm.
Round trip, we went all around the island. There were 14 different families there at the time living on the island. In the summertime, you know.
Right. Was Sievertson over there then?
Severson, but I worked for Christensen
Uh-huh.
on Detroit. It used to be car ferry in Bayfield there.
It did.
Yeah. There's a picture of it down here, the shed, big shed.
The Detroit?
Yeah. Down in that boots shed down there.
Right.
That's when you're going to Dwarf, it's on there.
Do you remember when that ferry moved from here to Grand Marais?
No, I don't know what year it was. But, anyway, Alec Christensen owned it. And there was 4 of us that worked on there. Captain was from down around Green Bay. Anyway, his cousins owned a Roan Steamship Company. And he was a captain. And an engineer. He was from Corning too.
Uh-huh.
Well, he had a stubble, like that big one, sitting in front of the museum down here. And, well, I was a bit kind of under. Then we had a cook too, but he quit one day because I said, Jesus, the steak is tough. He got mad, he packed his suitcase and took off. He was a lumberjack cook, you know.
He didn't want any complaints.
No. Anyway.
So you went wherever the jobs were?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
What came along. People asked me, how come? I said, all seasonal jobs. Everything was. Then I worked on the doggone drilling for iron ore down the Mellon.
The what?
Drilling for iron ore. 3 months we drilled 18 holes, 100 feet deep, the first one, the most, the deepest.
Mm-hmm.
So that was it, end of that job. We drilled 18 holes and that was it.
Art, keep the paper down a little bit
Yeah.
when you're not reading on it.
Oh, yeah.
You can pick it up to read, but
Yeah.
it gets in the way of your face.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were exploratory drilling
Yeah.
to see if there was enough iron ore down there.
It was a self-propelled machine. It weighed 11 ton. It was on tracks, you know. And in fact, we set up right in the middle of a big swamp. The guy was pulping down there, and he got a corduroy road across the swamp. We set up right in the middle of the swamp. 100 feet we had deepest, you know, 18 different holes.
But you never found...
Well, he wouldn't tell us.
Oh, he wouldn't?
No, heck, he'd turn his back to us, you know, he'd pick some up and throw some away. And we come to town and that guy said, ask, well, do you find anything? We don't know. He won't tell us.
But they never did start a mine down in there,
No,
did they?
No, I guess they had mines some down there, but up there in the Pinocchio Range, they claimed there was copper up there, but I don't know. Anyway, that was
So when would this have been?
that was in 46.
So after the war.
Yeah, all of 46. There was just two of us and a geologist with us. Two of us working on. We were doing a lot of blasting. Hit rock, and so we'd have to pull the pipe and set of charges on. Boom.
Well, how'd you find out about that job?
Well, I was at a ball game in Cornucopia, and a welder from Washburn talking with me, and he says, "You want a job?" But yeah. We're going down in the boondocks, he says. He wouldn't say where. I wound up down Mellon. And we stayed in a hotel down there 3 months.
Then came back to Corny?
Yeah.
You always came back to Corny?
Oh, yeah. And you know, I moved back to Herbster in 1954, too.
You did?
Yeah, for a year and a half.
Why?
I bought a place over there. I had my own place right next to the Bark Point Nursery.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I got married in 54. Man.
Now, who did you marry?
She was from town here, Helen Smith.
Helen Smith?
You probably know Laura Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's her sister-in-law. She was Laura's husband's sister.
Right.
Yeah.
So you married a Bayfield girl.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
Well, you know, that's another story. I was in a sanatorium for 7 months. That was in 1953. And she was a nurse there for many years. So I got to know her pretty well. And, well, 7 months, Dr. Moody says, you look okay. You healed up, you know, a spot on my lung.
Mm-hmm.
But he says, if I was you, I'd go down to Madison and have her removed. So I went down to Veterans Hospital in Madison for 8 months more. 15 months I put in altogether.
My God. Now, when was this been?
Well, that was in 53. I got it in 54.
So you married your nurse?
Yeah. I come back here. Well, we got to know each other pretty well. It's in nursing home there. So I thought I'll look her up anyway. And we started going off together.
And what was her name?
Helen Smith.
Helen, that's right. Okay.
She was a year and a half older than me, but neither one of us had ever married before.
Uh-huh.
So I says, well, no, I remember, I guess.
And did you have children?
No.
No children.
No, we didn't.
And where did you live when you were first married then?
Well, that's why I moved to Herbster.
Okay.
And then came back here. Her dad says, there's a job over here if you want it. I was working for Isaacson's lumber company.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't tell me what the job was. I come over here, I was getting $1.25 an hour at Herbster. Come over here and I got $1.05. Had my own place over there, and I had to pay rent to him over here.
Not a good deal.
No.
But you did it anyway.
Yeah. Another thing, I worked up in Minnesota for in a sawmill. I worked in different sawmills, about 4 different sawmills through the years.
You said ore?
Yeah, just 1 miles north of Ore.
Right.
A place called Cousin. There used to be a CC camp there. And I worked there on the sawmill. He wanted me to take over sawing, you know. I was pretty good at judging how far out to pull the log in the back end.
Mm-hmm.
He just told me to put a wedge in. I had different size wedges. I'd pick one up and look at it. he'd shake his head or no, either way, you know. So I got so good that he said, you come up here and talk. No, I don't want to.
Yeah. So back here again.
Yeah, back again.
Now, where did you and your wife live? Where was the house?
Well, over there in Hershey.
No, here in
Well, here.
Bayfield. When you moved to
Well,
Bayfield.
we moved we was in they owned a building now here. There was a pool hall on, but not right next to Morty's.
Mm-hmm. Which way from Morty's?
Between Morty's and the other corner house.
Okay. So toward the lake.
Yeah, and well, I lived up there during the time I worked for Allwood. Then we bought this place, 57.
Uh-huh. And
in Harrison.
so you lived upstairs?
Yeah, I lived upstairs, down there,
Yeah.
up here too first. Until she was a city treasurer, you know. So we had to move downstairs there. She had an office in that room there.
Oh, she did?
Yeah. And for 10 years she worked for the power company at the same time. She had to go over to Ashland and work too for a power company.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise she worked down here at City Hall. And she had her office for the treasurer right here.
So this was the City Hall Annex.
Used to be a doctor's office.
It did?
Yeah. In fact, I had a smashed a thumbnail one time. The doctor lived here. And I come over here and he put your head between your knees, he says. Took the tweezer and yanked it off.
Whew. Gives me the shivers.
Yeah.
What was that doctor's name, do you remember?
I don't know. I know what it is too, but I can't come up with it.
Now, who did you buy this house from?
Carl Colleen. Not Carl Colleen. Harry Colleen. There's a Carl Colleen too, but there's a Harry Colleen.
Mm-hmm.
They used to be Crensfelders, I guess. Well, it was about 1905, according to the abstract. Anyway.
And what did you pay for it?
You know what? Well, don't tell nobody, but because you know anyway. But you wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Well, I know it wasn't today's prices. $300?
No,
4,000. 4,000. Yeah. Sure. Well, by that time it was 50-year-old house.
Yeah.
Just about. So this is one of the old houses in town.
Yeah.
You've lived here almost 50 years yourself. 56.
No, from 57 to
Yeah. Now, when did your wife die?
93.
93.
Yeah.
So 8 years ago.
Yeah, see, emphysema. She wouldn't quit smoking back then. The doctor kept telling her, I kept telling her. She says, can I do what I want to? And I said, no, not according to what the doctor says.
Yeah.
Except she put in 2.5 years in a nursing home.
In Washburn?
Ashland.
Ashland.
So I drive over 3 times a week.
So you're by yourself here now?
Yeah,
But you said you had a renter upstairs.
yeah.
And who's that?
Don Stroot. You probably know him.
So it's probably good to have somebody living upstairs, and you can,
Yeah, well,
if you need any help or
he
anything.
wants to buy it.
He does?
Yeah.
You're not ready to sell, though?
No, I said, I'm not ready to sell.
No.
I'm going to stay here as long as I live.
Yeah.
The hell, they wanted me to move to Washburn, you know. Some hospital had turned over the old hospital in Washburn into rooms, you know.
Right.
I took a look at it and I said, I don't want to be here. hell would I do here? Twiddle my thumbs? No.
That's right. Besides, you got to keep an eye on Bayfield.
Yeah,
Your morning walk, you got to.
sure. Well,
Check
everything's so handy for me. What the heck?
Yeah.
So I broke my ankle. I was waiting for a cataract operation. And I stepped outside here. I was going to go down the basement. I fell on one spot of ice. Went down and broke my ankle. And I thought, well, it's a sprain. Walked to the post office, back to the house.
Oh.
I knew it was more than a sprain then. So I went to
That was a few years ago, wasn't it?
no, just about going on 4 years ago, I guess.
Yeah. I remember seeing you.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I had, as soon as I got to the nursing home, I come down with pneumonia. So I had all three of them taken care of in 2.5 months.
well, you seem pretty healthy now.
I've been operated on today many times, 10 times, 3 times in my right leg.
Have you had any hip replacement or knee replacements?
Yeah, knee joint.
That's
Sure.
that's been replaced, huh? Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you still get around pretty well though.
Well, that's using crutch. I mean, king.
Yeah. But you're active. You walk every day, don't you?
Yeah, but it's getting harder all the time. That's why I got handicap parking here. I had to pay to get that too.
You have to, because if you didn't have that marked, you'd never find a place to park your car these days.
Well, my doctor says you're permanently disabled. I'm disabled. I'm DAV. Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's backtrack to your other work that you were. Where did we leave off?
Oh yeah. Well, I was on the ferry. Worked at Allwood and Splicewood. They're both store factories.
Now, what'd you do at Allwood?
Well, I was a parent boiler stationary engineer for the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
I had to give it up because I couldn't keep anything down. So I get choked up on sawdust.
Uh-huh.
I had to give it up. So then,
And Allwood, what did Allwood make?
Allwood, they made all kinds of breadboards and stuff like that, you know.
Did they make boxes? Or was that some...
No,
It
no.
was a box factory for a while.
Yeah. But that box factory was down here, but it was making fish boxes. So it was a different outfit.
That was a different outfit,
Yeah.
yeah.
But anyway,
So when you worked for Allwood, that was right after you got married,
yeah.
in the
Yeah,
50s?
right after I moved from Berkshire over here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and
And then what?
well then, let's see what I. Well, I was Splicewood, worked at Splicewood, but that was in '65.
Where was that?
Splicewood National.
And what was your job there?
Oh, chicken veneer repair and passion veneer and stuff. Oh,
So you had to commute to Ashland then?
yeah, but it was a bunch of us. Took turns driving.
Mm-hmm.
And what the heck? Well, I think I went to work. I went to work on blacktop and roads for 5 years. Wiesner from South Superior. And that was a job. Everything I did was a different paid, different wage scale. I have 5 different wage scales in 1 week.
Is that right?
Yeah. Everything I did had a different wage scale.
So by then, what were you making an hour?
Well, I started out at $1.80 an hour. And I got up to 344 as an operator.
Mm-hmm.
That was in, let's see, '61, I guess. I started in '57 and worked 5 years.
Right. So working on roads all around
Yeah.
northern Wisconsin.
Down as far as Menominee, down to Chetek 2 years. All over the upper part of the state. Up
So
here.
you were gone quite a lot then.
Yeah.
Your wife liked that?
Well, I come home weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose there were no jobs here,
No,
huh?
no. We've done blacktopping here too.
Mm-hmm.
Washburn. Yeah, I got burnt. I gone. My hands, my feet, both hands, my wrist.
From the hot tar?
Yeah. Well, we used to cook our doggone lunch on the doggone, bury it in a hopper. Hamburger and corn down in Barron County. But the cornfield gets the cobs of corn, bury them in a hopper, and the inspector, he had butter and salt and everything. Feast. Yeah, it was a good, the same crew every year. He had a good crew.
So those were summer jobs.
Yeah. Only 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Middle of May, middle of October.
What'd you do then during the other 7 months?
Well, just, I don't know, whatever come along.
Did you ever do any ice fishing?
Oh yeah, lots of it.
Did you?
Yeah.
And who'd you do ice fishing with?
Well, we used to go out, when we used to walk out there. Good 6 miles. You know, never had no teepees or anything. Just a windbreak.
Just in the open?
Yeah, stand out there behind a windbreak.
And what were you fishing for then?
Trout.
So you'd put the nets down through
No.
just
hook,
with line?
Hook and line.
Hook and line, okay.
No, little herring for bait. Just cut chunks of bait and put it on a hook and all day long. To keep shaking it, doggone.
See?
Yeah.
How'd you keep warm?
The hands get cold, stick them in the water and pound them. Yeah, that's the only way to warm up. Stick them in the water and pound them pretty hell.
Now they have fish houses with TVs in them
Yeah.
and couches and
Even a little stove.
yeah. Well, they aren't as tough now as you used to be.
No. Yeah, we used to walk out there. And they did have a Model T and some old cars, you know, they drained the water out of them and got out there and filled it up with water. We started ready to go back.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't freeze the block then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, one time there was, I don't know if it was a Model T, I think it was, went through, you know, but it got hung up. So they went around the shore and cut down a birch pole, shoved it underneath full length of the car. Finally got it out of there with a whole bunch of guys, you know, and reached it off there.
Jeez. Did you ever have any close calls with the drowning or on the lake?
Well,
Seems like
I
everybody
fall
does.
in, but I had a brother drowned.
You did?
Yeah. That was in 1928.
What happened to him?
He just went down with a team of dogs. The dogs got out, but he didn't.
And where was he heading?
He was about 6 miles out there in the lake, straight out from Corny.
And broke through?
Yeah. He was going to go back to the same place he was the day before. And it had broke off, and and throws over and just snow on top of it.
So he couldn't see.
Couldn't see it. Went down.
Right.
Went straight down. Dogs got out. So they fished him out the next day with a grapple. 30 fathom of water. That's 180 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was a young man.
Huh?
He was a young man then.
Yeah, he was on 19.
Yeah.
But I fell in over Madeline too, off the dock.
You did?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Well, you know, you had the boat up on a hoist,
Right.
and it was froze over, so it was the beams that were holding up the boat. And I chopped ice there. He said, "Watch out, you don't fall in." You know, sooner said it, and I went. And I went right underneath the boat, come out on the other side.
Oh.
Well, the boat was up in the air, you know.
Right.
But I was bobbing up and down ice kicks, and by the time I crossed over the other side.
Hey.
So I clapped my hand onto the bottom boat so it freeze onto it. But he got a plank. He'd get a plank so I'd climb out on it.
Mm-hmm. This is Bud you're talking about.
Yeah. So he pulled me out. Then I fell in down here at the marina. I was working for the city, you know, being our grant. And I walked over too close to the piling, you know, the bubbler system there.
Mm-hmm.
It was sort of snowed over, you know. So I thought it was good solid ice. And I went, one leg, right leg was down, I was laying on my side.
Ooh.
And I couldn't get out. He couldn't pull me out. I said, "Take your dang gloves off." Get a hold of my wrist, good hold. He finally hauled me out.
Who hauled you out?
Our grant. There was only two of us there.
Oh boy.
They never sent the two of us down there again.
I guess not. So were you cutting ice then? Is that what
No, I
you...
was chopping ice around the pilings. See.
Oh, around the pilings, okay.
Yeah, so the bubbler system was there.
So you said
System was there.
so you said you worked for the city. Now when did you do that?
Well, off and on for after that.
This had been in
It
this.
was after must have been after I left the lumber company. I worked there 8 years.
The Bayfield Lumber Company?
Yeah. That was a close job, we're told.
Down the alley.
But I had to carry my lunch when I worked half a block from Allwood there too. I couldn't leave. I had to fire in that boiler and couldn't leave.
Right. So when did you work for the lumber company? Was that in the 60s or
From,
70s?
From 67 to 75.
Mm-hmm.
I retired then.
So that was it then?
Yeah.
Retired in 75, so you've been retired 26 years.
Yeah.
You've been enjoying the good life?
Oh, well, that's a... I'll always find something to pass the time out.
Now when you retired, was your wife still working?
No, she quit too.
She did.
Yeah. You're going to quit, I'll quit too. Well, she was older than me, so...
So what did you do though in those years? You had quite a few years together here where you weren't working. And
Well, what do you mean?
well, what were you doing, you and your wife? And
Well, I worked all in places, wooden splice wood and...
no, I mean after you retired.
Oh, after I retired,
Yeah.
75. See, I don't know if I've done anything.
You'd done enough already.
Yeah. Worked worked all my life from 16 years old to,
Yeah. Well, maybe that's why you're still alive. You worked,
yeah,
you had physical labor the whole
Yeah.
time. You were outside.
yeah. Hard work all my life. My back is well, they tell me they can't do nothing for me. I have a MRI and CAT scan, and both times they said, can't do nothing for you.
Hmm.
Spine is full of spurs.
Is that right?
Yeah. All from heavy lifting.
Yeah.
I tell you that commercial fishing is the worst.
Well, plus you're out there in the cold and
Yeah. But heavy fish boxes, heavy fish net boxes, and the two guys in the boat, and you wrestling things around by yourself, pile them on top of each other, drag them to the boat, from one end of the boat to the other. One guy's got to stay by the lifter, can't leave.
so when you fished with Bud,
Yeah.
you were like first mate then on that boat, kind of.
I guess so.
Is that right? So what was your job? Would he steer it and you would be back there by
I'd
the...
steer too when I'm going out and coming back. It depends on what.
Because his wife was on that boat too, some of the time, she said.
No, she went on there when they took it, when he sold it.
Oh, okay. Because she ran that fish shack that they sold fish out of at Madeline.
Well, no, she didn't come. She didn't stay out there. It was just us two there. There was another guy with us for a while too, from Port Wing, and he
And who was that?
was Carlson, Benny Carlson. And one day he had a bottle up in the pallet house. And every once in a while I'd go up and have his drink and come down with a Bruce look on his face, you know. Went on till finally went and laid down on the stern deck. We didn't get a work out of him at all. So we come back in, and he got out of the boat and went up to the cabinet and went to sleep. Yeah. That was the thing.
What else have you got on your list there, Art?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, there's another one here. I was on the Green Thumb program. That was for elderly, you know. That was after I retired.
And what was that?
What was it?
Yeah.
Well, we'd done different things. Like we worked up to the cemetery, and we weren't supposed to be up there. The fellow from Ladysmith, he says that's supposed to be what do you call them? The city taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
But he says it's okay, but you're not supposed to be here.
So you would do like maintenance up there and
Yeah. Yeah, I've done a lot of work up there.
as a volunteer.
Yeah, that was another job that I was on quite a bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of filling in graves, you know. I mean, it's had it sunk down, you know, with a wheelbarrow pushing.
Mm-hmm.
I had another kid with me, and he was pulling in front with a rope, and I was pushing. We'd go up the hill, you know, with a darn wheelbarrow full of sand.
Yeah.
Well, I had so many jobs that I can keep track of them.
You sure did.
Yeah.
Well, you've had a good, long, full life.
Yeah, I guess so. It says here that's about it for my lifetime of working out.
Huh?
I got it written down here. That is about it for my lifetime of working out. Yeah. Yeah, Green Thumb program. That was the last of this. I forgot about that one.
Yeah. Now, what did you had something written on that?
Oh yeah, this here was about planting trees. Yeah, that was it was a bunch from each township. I got out there and planting trees on the north boundary on County C.
Mm-hmm.
And me and another guy was water boy, and when somebody else didn't show up, I'd have to plant through. You know. Otherwise, we carried water, plants and carried water to the guys. We were spaced 6 feet apart. Went down to the wood.
Now, when was this been? How old were you then?
Well, that was in, I think it was in 1932.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that was really the first planting or not. But that was for Bayfield County. This wasn't federal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's Bayfield County forestry. Hey, that's another job too. I worked for 1 year at Washburn for the forestry.
You did?
Yeah. In fact, 9 months, then you get laid off, see. And I wanted to go back, and the doctor told me, he said, if I was you, he said, I wouldn't go back because your wife's got high blood pressure. You should stay closer to home.
Oh.
So I didn't go back.
Hmm.
Yeah. And, so that was a job. We took care of all the campgrounds. And every week we had to go take water samples of 7 different wells all around the country out there.
Mm-hmm.
It was all day job. So I got on that a couple times at least. We down to Lake Owen, through Drummond, town of Barnes and all around down through there.
Mm-hmm. So you know this country around here pretty well.
Oh yeah.
All the back roads and...
Yeah, I know all the damn roads. I go out any place out in the Burns, know where I'm at.
Well, you've seen a lot of changes in Bayfield.
Oh yeah, geez, yes. That's for sure.
It's a little different today, isn't it?
God, when I come first there wasn't near the traffic. The people. Yeah. If I knew it was going to turn this way, I probably would not come over here.
You don't like what's happened to Bayfield?
No,
How come?
I don't know. I don't like crowds.
Yeah. Well, in the wintertime, it's
Wintertime.
pretty quiet around here.
Yeah,
Of course, that may change too.
yeah. Well, I don't know.
Well, anything else, Art, that you'd like to
Well,
talk about?
well, let's see. I was gonna. Well, about that doggone. I was gonna show you. Think about that ship I was on. I can't even get up.
You want some help?
That's why I got a cane to it.
Yeah. So, Art, this is your family here.
Yeah.
Can you name them from the? You're over the farthest on the left, right?
Yeah.
And then who's next to you is about your same size.
Oh, well, in front?
Yeah.
Well, that's Alvin. He's 2 years younger than me. And then,
Why don't you point them out as you?
well, that's me, and that's
Yeah.
Alvin.
Yeah.
And well, this is Rudolph. He's a half brother.
Right.
And there's Albert.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Herman, youngest one.
Right.
And Walter.
Walter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He just died here.
And that's your mother right behind Walter.
Yeah. And his dad.
Right.
And my sister.
What's her name?
My sister?
Yeah.
Anna.
Anna. Okay.
And then there's brother Bill.
Okay.
Well, I guess this was Albert, yeah. But there's August
Mm-hmm.
and Ted Theodore.
The whole family. And where was this picture taken?
I have in Corny on the farm.
Farm on Corning out there, but toward Bark Point.
No.
No?
It's Corny.
Oh, in Corny.
You know where Mrs. Swenson lives?
No, I don't, but
Well, she's on the old 13 across the Squid River from County C. And you hit 13 on the, where you go down.
okay, now who's in this picture?
Huh?
Who's in this picture?
Who's in the picture?
Yeah.
Me and my wife.
So that's you on the left,
Yep.
and then your wife next to you.
Yep. And that's
And who's seated there?
Tammy Nelson.
Huh?
Nelson.
Timey Nelson.
Tammy.
And who was she married to?
She was made, I think was his name. Live on a place where Everett Hyde lives now.
Where Everett Hyde lives?
Yeah.
Where's that?
Around 13. We come out on Turner Road, come out to 13. Around the corner. 4 corners there.
And where was this occasion?
This here,
Yeah.
I was down at Bayfield Hotel. The old hotel.
Which stood where?
That's where the other one is.
Where the Bayfield Inn is now. Yeah. So this was the reception after the wedding?
Yeah.
And what was the date?
The date?
Yeah.
I think it was in August.
Was it 56, you said? No,
No,
earlier than that.
46.
46.
40.
Well, you came back from the war in 46.
Yeah. No, what the heck? Wait a while. Muddled up here now. 53, I guess.
53. Yeah, I think that's what you did say. Well, you look pretty dapper there, Art.